We get questions all the time about the nutritional value of Thrive Life freeze-dried food. So I thought I would make a video to answer all of your questions.
Tiny House Prepper.
Hey everybody, I'm Bill with Tiny House Prepper. And like I said, we get a lot of questions about the video, about the nutrition of Thrive Life food. So I figured I'd answer them here. One of the things that we hear a lot is something like, why don't you eat real food? That stuff's okay for emergencies, but it isn't healthy for daily use. Well, I can tell you that that is absolutely not the case. In fact, Thrive Life food is actually healthier, more nutritious, more nutrient dense than the fresh produce that you can buy at the grocery store. You know, that big, beautiful, fresh looking, beautiful stuff. Thrive Life is actually healthier than that. And I'll explain that. Does that sound like a bold statement to you? I'll explain that a little bit later in the video. We get questions all the time about people saying things like, I'm diabetic. Can I use Thrive food? Or low sodium. I have to watch my sodium intake. Can I use it? Is Thrive Life keto friendly? Is it low fat? Is it low carb? Is it gluten free? Well, I can tell you yes to every one of those. It's all those things. It's safe for every one of those things. How can that be? Well, shopping at Thrive is just like shopping at a grocery store because there are all individual ingredients. If you're a diabetic, there's certain things at the grocery store that you can't use, that you can't eat, so you don't buy them. It's the same way with Thrive. If there are certain things you can't eat, you don't buy them. But the things that you do eat are pure, simple, single ingredients, nothing added, so you know what you're getting, and it's completely safe just depending on what you buy to be able to use if you're diabetic or keto or low carb, whatever. It's just like shopping at the grocery store. You pick and choose the items that you want. Now let's talk about the nutrition in general. First of all, Thrive Life is all non-GMO. There are no preservatives, no chemicals. There isn't anything in there that you can't pronounce, okay? And it has a 25-year shelf life. Well, how can it do that if it doesn't have any preservatives? Well, there are three things that are required for food to spoil: heat, moisture, and oxygen. Now, as it goes through the freeze-drying process, they freeze it to 40 below zero Fahrenheit, and then they put it in a vacuum chamber, and all it does is that vacuum chamber pulls out all the moisture. And when it's done, it has less than 0.07% moisture in it. Not 7%, 0.07%. So there's no moisture left virtually. And then they put it in a can, they draw out all the air, they vacuum seal it in the can so there's no oxygen. And if you're lacking in oxygen and you're lacking in water, then it can't spoil. So that's how they get the 25-year shelf life without any preservatives. It's really a very healthy way to do it. Okay, there are no chemicals or preservatives, there's no MSG, there's no added trans fats, there's no added sodium, with a few exceptions, and I'll talk about those in a minute. But I do have to tell you that it is not organic. Thrive is not designed to be an organic health food store. They actually tried an organic line for a while, thinking that that would be a good idea, and believe it or not, it just didn't sell. And so they had all of these organic products on the shelves that were just sitting there and not selling. And a business can't stay in business if it has products that it's invested money into and it doesn't move, it doesn't sell. So they've actually just recently are phasing out the organic line. You know, those who eat organic are usually very passionate about that, but the reality is that's a very small niche market when you talk about our overall grocery market, which is a $4 trillion market. So they tried an organic line and it just didn't sell, so they have discontinued that. But Thrive is actually, we're very concerned with health, we're very concerned with nutrition, and it's actually kind of halfway in between, if you will, a grocery store and an organic health food store. It's much healthier than anything you can buy at the grocery store. It's kind of halfway in between. Because our goal is to bring clean, healthy food to the masses, and the masses just are not into organic overall. But what we have is considerably more nutritious than anything at the grocery store. Now, let's talk a little bit about the meats. I get a lot of questions about the meats. The meats are all grown with no hormones, and they are all grown with no antibiotics. Apparently, it's pretty much the standard in the industry to just give antibiotics to the animals all the time to keep them from getting sick. The problem with that is then their meat is just full of antibiotics, and when we eat it, we get trace amounts of antibiotics in our body, and that's what contributes to antibiotic-resistant strains of germs. So with Thrive, the only time antibiotics are used are if the animal is actually sick, and then they stop using it again. So no growth hormones, no antibiotics. And I do also have to say, just like the organic thing, our meat is not free range or grass-fed. I get questions like that a lot. Now, I also get questions about what are the ingredients. People want to know what's in them. All of that is listed on the website. All of the ingredients and the nutritional information of each product is listed on the website. So let me take you to the website now and show you where you can see all of that information. So here we are on the Thrive website. We're going to go over here to where it says shop and then go down to ingredients. Ingredients are the things that you use to make your meals. And so let's take a look at veggies. And broccoli. Now right down here it says product and nutrition label. This is actually a photograph of the nutrition label on the can, so you can see what's in it. So let's look over here underneath. And what does it say? Ingredients. Broccoli. That's it. Nothing else. No chemicals, no preservatives, just broccoli. So now let's go and look at some of the fruit. Right here. And you can see here there's organic mangoes. They still have them. They still have a stock, so they're slowly selling out of those. But let's go down to blueberries. Once again, underneath of the picture of the product, and it's going to be down here. Let me make it bigger so you can see ingredients. Blueberries. Nothing else. That's it. Now I did mention that there is some salt in some of the products, and it's mostly in the meats and in the simple plate. So let's go over here to meats. If you see anything that says seasoned like this, it's going to have probably some salt in it. But let's look at the ground beef. Once again, we look here. Let me make it a little larger. Ingredients here. Beef, less than 2% vegetable protein, which is pea protein. And then salt, natural flavors, grilled flavor, and spice. That's it. Even here, you still don't see all kinds of chemicals and preservatives. And then the last thing would be the simple plate meals. Let's go to simple plate. Let's check on the creamy red pepper polenta. Same thing underneath the picture. Now inside of the simple plate, it's a complete meal that has all the ingredients that you need to make the meal. And inside the simple plate, it has a recipe card. And this is a copy of the recipe card. This is the one side. This is the other side. It gives you the steps. Down below that, you see the nutrition facts. Now, to be honest, was surprised when I looked on here. I thought it had the ingredients listed, but it does not on the simple plate. But you can see how much sodium is in each one, how many carbs are in each one, that sort of thing. Obviously, the simple plate are actually meals, so they're going to have spices in them. They're going to have sodium in them. If you are sensitive to sodium or carbs or whatever, you can look here and you can see how much sodium and how much carbs you're going to be getting with each simple plate meal. And if it's something that you can't eat, then just don't buy that. There are all kinds of single ingredient cans that have nothing in them but the individual ingredient itself, and you can just use those to cook your own meals. So there's a little bit of something for everybody here. So now I want to talk about what I call the tale of two strawberries. So as we look at this slide here, down across the bottom, you'll see this is the typical route that a strawberry takes going from the field to your table. You see that it is picked before it's ripe, because if they don't, it's not going to make it to your table without going bad. So they pick it before it's ripe. So what does that mean? It means that it has not had time to completely develop all of the nutrients that it's supposed to have. They're still developing when they pick it. It's not complete yet. It also has not developed all of the taste that it's going to develop. So after it's picked, then it's transported, day 2, and then day 3, 4, it's packaged, and then at day 5, it's transported again, and then day 6 and 7, distribution. Now, as a truck driver, which I was a truck driver for 8 years, I can tell you that some of the loads that I pulled, I would go into a warehouse that was a produce, and it was sort of a general warehouse that all the companies used, and I would pick up a load of produce and take it from there to another distribution center that was specific to the company, like Kroger or King Soopers or Walmart or whatever, and then drop it off there. And then it would be distributed again from there to the grocery store. So there were, in my experience, there were at least 2 different distribution centers that the food went to. That it would go from whatever the original processing was at the farm, and then it would go to the general distribution center, and then it would go from there to the distribution center for each individual store, and then it would go from there out to the grocery stores. So this says distribution day 6 and 7. Well, it may be even more than that if it goes through several processes like I just talked about. And then it's transported again to the grocery store. It can take up to 2 weeks or more to get to the grocery store, and then by the time you're getting it and you're getting it on your table, because how long does it sit in the store before you buy it? That thing could be 3 weeks old, and by then, if you don't eat it within a couple of days, it's going to go bad. And remember, it was picked ripe, so it didn't have all the nutrients in it that it was supposed to. And then as soon as you pick it, all of the nutrients start to deteriorate. So that means that this big, beautiful strawberry that looks beautiful has very little of the original flavor that it should, and it has very little of the original nutrition that it should. Now let's compare that to the Thrive Life strawberry. And you can see here that it's picked at the peak of perfection. We wait until it's ripe to pick it. So it has all the flavor that it's supposed to have. It has all of the nutrition that it's supposed to have. And then it's flash frozen to 10 below 0 Fahrenheit within 2 to 6 hours. So all of the nutrients that are there and all the flavor is locked in by being flash frozen within a couple of hours. And then it's shipped to the facility in Utah where it is freeze dried, and that whole time it's kept at 10 below. And then once it gets to the facility, it's frozen to 40 below 0, and then it's put into the vacuum chambers, which draw out the moisture, and then it's canned, and it's shelf stable, and it has no additives, and it has all the nutrients, and it has all the flavor that it's supposed to have. How cool is that? You can't even compare the two. The Thrive strawberry to the grocery store fresh, beautiful looking strawberry that has no flavor and no nutrition. Now Thrive has what they call the Nutri-Lock promise. You see, we start with the best produce, It's picked at the peak of perfection, and then we freeze dry it in the most state-of-the-art facility in North America. It's a brand new facility, and it's absolutely state-of-the-art. And that locks in the taste and the nutrition so that our produce is as fresh as the farmer's market. And then we have a Nutrilock promise. This is a 40-step proprietary process of inspections that ensures quality, taste, and nutrition. Any product that doesn't pass all 40 inspections is removed and it's not processed. So this is actually a very stringent process that it goes through. And so by going through all of this, what does this mean? Compare our food to the grocery store food. What does it mean? Well, it means that our blueberries have 30% more calcium than store-bought blueberries. It means that our peaches have 21 times more vitamin C than store-bought peaches. Now that's not 21% more, that's 21 times more. That's massive. Our spinach has 6 times more vitamin A than store-bought spinach. It's the same with every product that we have. Every single one of them is absolutely full of all the nutrition that it should be, instead of it being depleted by being picked early and going through the shipping process. There's also a huge advantage to freeze drying over other processes because there's no heat involved. Vitamins are destroyed by heat. So if you grow a garden and then you can all your vegetables, during the canning process you are destroying a lot of the nutritional content of the food. And even if you dehydrate, there's a certain amount of heat involved, and that destroys vitamins. With freeze drying, there's no heat involved at all. It's just immediately frozen. So it's actually the method of preservation that destroys the least amount of nutrition and vitamins and enzymes and all that. So it's all still preserved. Now there are many companies out there that sell nutritional supplements, vitamins, supplements. Those things are necessary for the most part because we're eating food that has been depleted of all of the natural nutrients that it's supposed to have. So really we should all be eating farm fresh picked right from the field to get all the nutrients that we possibly can. But that's pretty much not possible unless you live on a farm. And how many of us live on a farm? I mean, really, you know. So Thrive strives to bring you the best, fresh, nutrient-dense food available on the market. And by eating food that is more nutritious and has more nutrients in it, there's less of a need for supplements, and you're just going to be healthier overall because you're getting more of your vitamins and minerals naturally instead of, synthetic vitamins that you get through a supplement pill. And then when you look at all that, you look at the great nutrition involved, and then you also think about the other conveniences of Thrive, that it saves time in meal prep. It's already chopped, it's already cut and diced and cleaned and all of that for you. So you can save as much as 50% or more of the time it takes to prepare a meal. That's just fantastic. It also reduces waste and spoilage. There is no spoilage with Thrive. You just use what you need and you leave the rest on the shelf for the next time. It doesn't spoil. So you're going to save money there because it doesn't spoil. Do you know the average family throws away because of spoilage 25% of the food that they purchase at the grocery store? So if you want to compare the cost of Thrive to the grocery store, you have to actually add 25% to the cost of the grocery store food to account for the waste, for the spoilage that you don't have with Thrive. And with Thrive, if you have a well-stocked Thrive pantry, your food is always going to be there. You can stock it well in advance because you don't have to worry about it going bad or spoiling. So it's always going to be there. There's not going to be any more, running out to the store just to get one ingredient that you need to finish cooking a meal. It's all right there. And it's delivered right to your door. How great is that? You save time, you save money, you save gas money. You're not tempted with, all of the things that are around the cashier that you shouldn't buy, but you do anyway, and all of that. impulse buying, you're going to save money there too. So Thrive is very nutritious. It's very healthy. It's a great way to go. That's why Elizabeth and I use Thrive all the time in probably 60 to 70% of our cooking. In fact, the only thing that we don't use Thrive for is things that Thrive doesn't have, like a big steak. I mean, they have great roast beef, they have great hamburger, but they don't have a big, thick, juicy steak. So we buy that kind of thing at the store. But we use Thrive whenever we can because it's fast, it's healthy, it's convenient, it's a great way to go. So I hope that answers some of your questions about Thrive Nutrition, and I hope you can see that it really is, it's not, as some people call it, Frankenfood. People who think that just don't understand what it is. So I've tried to give you the facts so that you can really understand how nutritious and how great freeze-dried food is, and Thrive Life freeze-dried food is the best on the market. So I hope that helps as you're looking at Thrive and you're trying to decide if you want to try it. I hope that helps. You have a great day. Be blessed.